Music saved my life. In England at the time, in the north of England, the thing to do was to do what your father did, and what his father did, and what his father did. Work until you're about 65. Lie down, get a gold watch, and die. And that was about it, you know. I never went for that. I never fell for that, that dream. And my parents allowed me not to follow that dream. And I often wondered why, when I was a teenager at 13 years old, listening to rock and roll on Radio Luxembourg in England, listening to the American Top 40 through, the radio was in the living room. And of course, when I went to bed, there was no way that I was going to go to bed and miss the American Top 40 show. So I would listen to the radio through my bedpost. And it conducted quite well, actually. And it was amazing how much sound really traveled through the floor and through my bedpost into my head. At 13, when I had my first metaphysical choice in life, which was a birthday present that could have either been a guitar or a bicycle, except that my mother very gently told me that they couldn't afford a bicycle. So, you know, but for choices, I might have won the Tour de France. But I didn't. I chose a guitar, learned to play guitar, learned to sing with my friend Alan Clark, was influenced by early American rock and roll, by the Everly Brothers in the mid-50s, by Presley, by Gene Vincent, by Buddy Holly, by Jerry Lee Lewis, by Fats Domino, by the Platters. Did not want to listen to Bobby Vee, did not want to listen to Fabian, did not want to listen to you know, Annette and Frankie. At the same time, right after that, after World War II, American sailors used to come into ports in the north of England and bring with them R&B records, especially into Liverpool and Manchester, being at both ends of the Manchester Ship Canal, which was the lifeline to the north. And so you'd be able to hear bands doing stuff by Barrett Strong, stuff by Benny Spellman, by the early Drifters and the early Coasters. So rock and roll, certainly American rock and roll, played a very important part in my life. When you were influenced by rock and roll, when you wanted to go out to dances, when you wanted to meet the opposite sex, when you wanted to shake your body and to drink a little and to you know, smoke for the first time. I mean, one cigarette, I was gone. I never smoked again in my life. It just wasn't for me. But, you know, when you start to get into those kind of things, when you start to stay out late, when you start to want to hang out with your friends more, it does create friction in society. Now, I didn't have that particular friction with my parents, but many of my friends did. They, get a real job, son. This rock and roll business will never last. This was 57, you know, never last, never last. So there was a lot of rebellion going on. And then what happened is, when I first came to America in the mid-60s, I saw a place that had tremendous freedom and yet not. I saw vast doors of opportunity open, which you could walk through, and with an idea and some hard work, you could pull off your dream here in America. When I first came, I didn't want to go back to England. I felt spiritually that this place was my home. And in 1968, I moved here permanently and have never lived in England since. But in those early days, I saw a place where you could breathe, where you, spiritually and physically, where you could, if you wanted, say, for instance, a cowbell at 3 o'clock in the morning, you could pick up this phone that rang just like it did in the movies, and you could call, and someone 10 minutes later would deliver you a cowbell. Now, in England, we were brought up slightly differently in rock and roll. We were told and believed for many years that the echo machine went off at 10:30. And so all our sessions never went beyond 10:30. Only years later did I realize that that's when the pubs shut. And it had nothing to do with echo machines, but it had to do with control, right? So I went from that kind of an environment to an environment where everybody wanted to hear ideas, everybody was open for ideas, and everybody would let you express your ideas. So that kind of freedom really knocked me out. I really thrived under that kind of an environment.